As the coronavirus is spreading and risking the lives of people globally, it has also created the deep economic distress. Some businesses are struggling to stay afloat. Most Indian companies will see their revenue and profits getting impacted amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Hi, this is Vaishnavi RK from RG Institute of Commerce and Management. Today I am going to share with you how and which are the markets that have been crashed due to COVID-19. The damage caused by COVID-19 is not confined to only selected pockets of businesses, but it is a widespread malady that is expected to keep the economy sick for a longer time. While the magnitude of the impact may vary from sector to sector, there are some sectors that have suffered the most and continue to suffer. Let us see those sectors. Aviation. Aviation is the worst hit sector, with both international and domestic flights cancelled on account of lockdown. 585 international flights cancelled by private carriers as on March 6. As part of its effort to stop the spread of COVID-19, India on March 12 suspended almost all visas for a month. As of March 6, Indian private carriers had cancelled 93 international flights and global airlines 492 flights, according to data shared by the government. The IATA, International Air Transport Association, report says that in India, 29.32 lakh jobs in aviation sector are at risk. The data shows that airlines in the Asia Pacific region may see the largest revenue drop. The road ahead. The centre's Rs 20 lakh crore economic relief package is very welcome. I hope it has a sector-specific package for the country's air transport business. In the case of lockdown is extended, the sector will have a serious liquidity crisis which will raise the questions on their survival. Even after the normalcy returns, it is expected that the sector will have a longer period of slowdown due to the travel restrictions and perhaps a behavioral change in the public spending. The recent sharp decline in crude prices is positive for the aviation sector. However, the benefit of lower aviation fuel can come only when the airlines operate at the optimum utilization. Second comes retail. Organized retailers are heavily impacted by the shutdown of malls and shops, while the influence on essential goods retailers is minimal. Vinod Nair of Geojit Financial Services believes this huge impact is likely to stay until the economy is opened phase-wise, having a maximum benefit to online retailers. The road ahead. The e-commerce market in India is set to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 19.6% between 2019 and 2023. While the situation remains evolving, we expect the revenue to decline in Q1 FY21 for apparel retailer with a gradual recovery from Q2 FY21 onwards. While the demand for the food and retail grocery could come back to normalcy as and when the complete lockdown is lifted, the demand for discretionary items will take time to revive, and to that extent, other retailers might see the impact for a longer period. Financials. With the COVID-19 pandemic leading to lower GDP growth for FY 2021, the risk of a precipitous fall in loan growth is getting stronger. Besides, there is a fear that the banks and NBFCs may see a rise in NPAs as COVID-19 has hit businesses strongly, as several small and medium-scale industries are on the cusp of collapsing. The road ahead. In the near to medium term, with growth likely taking a backseat, we expect NBFCs and HFCs to again focus on the liquidity and risk management as key priorities. Post the lockdown, growth recovery would be divergent across business segments, said by Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Reality: new constructions are stopped and the sales have taken a hit. The sales are expected to take a further hit in the near term. Experts say the extent of the impact is difficult to assess completely. The sector may face the risk of delay in the new launches, the slowdown in sales, etc. The road ahead. The recovery path for the real estate sector could be slow and painful, say experts. The real estate prices have a negative view. The malls and the large commercial spaces are likely to see the fewer footfalls, leading to falling in the rental incomes of these players. Automobiles. For a sector which had been trying to overcome the myriad challenges already, the outbreak of COVID-19 is no less than a curse. Passenger vehicle sales in India fell 18% in the year end to March 2020, the steepest recorded fall in years after weak economic growth in the country over the last year. April was particularly bad for the industry, with most car makers failing to sell a single vehicle in the entire month. The road ahead. Automobile sector will continue to move in the slow lane for some time, with the sluggish sales here to stay, as even the demand for commercial vehicles gets limited on the top of the ongoing difficult times for passenger vehicles and two and three-wheelers. Hospitality. 35% fall reported in the restaurant business, with several companies restricting all but the essential travel. Business hotels in major cities could be left with a lot of empty rooms. As people become more cautious, restaurants have reported a decline of 30 to 35% in the business in the past few days. And the restaurants at malls have recorded a sharper drop, says Anurag Katriyar, President of National Restaurant Association of India. The closure of cinemas in some cities, hurting the multiplex chains like PVR Cinemas and INX Leisure Limited. Even the movie producers globally and even in India have deferred the release of movies. The next sector is apparel. 35% of apparel export orders come from Europe. India exported over rupees 1 lakh crore of garments in 2018 and 19, according to the Ministry of Commerce. Exports bring in 60% of Indian apparel marketers' revenues. Europe alone accounts for a third of India's garment exports. But with the region being declared the new epicenter for the disease by the World Health Organization, the new orders are bound to be affected. The road ahead. One really has to see what happens when the lockdown opens. We don't know whether there will be a panic buying situation like in China, or it is going to be the fact that there has been absolutely no income in the past 1.5 months. We don't know if people are actually going to come out and shop, or is it because of the scare people are going to come over at all. Electronics. China is a major supplier both for the final product as well as the raw material used in the electronics industry. India's electronics industry is fearing the supply disruptions, impact on product prices due to the heavy dependence on the electronics component supply. The spread of coronavirus could have pushed down the sales of top electronic companies and smartphone makers, which have the major suppliers to India. Although it is difficult to determine the exact impact the coronavirus will have on the world's economy, it is clear that the impact will be substantial and pervasive. And it appears the worst is yet to come. Investors worldwide are closely watching the coronavirus's impact on the world markets. Even if the tide turns quickly and the virus's spread is curtailed, its impact will be long-lasting. Some entities with thin margins and weak balance sheets will have been driven out of business, and others may need to consider bankruptcy protection to address the liquidity issues or supply chain or vendor disruptions.